Hello everybody, and as it seems that this is our last day and our last shot for the whole Streets of KL V2 project. For the last 2 weeks we have been driving so many different cars. There's a total of 14 cars in the collection from one person. Thank you very much to the owner, of course. And today we have gathered 10 of them. Some of the cars are not here, some of the cars are sold within that period of time, and some of them have gone to the workshop for gearbox swaps and stuff like that. So today we have 10 different cars matching from almost every manufacturer from Japan. And especially what's important is we have the big six. So we've got the Subaru Impreza, the Mitsubishi EVO TME, and we got the Toyota Supra, Honda NSX. In fact, we have two NSX here today, one auto and one manual. We got the Mazda RX-7 and the Nissan GT-R R32. It's been a very interesting 2 weeks for us and the whole team and myself. We've gotten the opportunity to drive each and every one of these cars. So I thought today, this video, we're going to share a little bit about what it's like to drive and which one is our favorite, which one we don't like most, and which one is, sleeper factor, which one has a little bit more attention on the road and stuff like that. So yeah, come, let's go. From the front, okay, we've got the DC2R. So this car is a 96 spec DC2R. It's got the full Mugen kit and everything. Underneath is still pretty stock though. To drive, of course, it's Honda. It's very much front-wheel drive Honda. The Integra is, of course, the first front-wheel drive Type R Honda. It's very easy to drive. This is one of the most achievable and, how to say, one of the best driver's cars from the 90s. It's becoming a very sought-after model. I think the Civic EK9 Type R is fetching a higher value, but actually, comparing between the two, the Type R DC2 has a better engine, so it's much nicer to drive as well. It's got a 1.8 instead of a 1.6 B16B. And then, of course, next to it, we've got the Impreza Gc8. So on our first day of shoot, we took the TME and the Gc8 out to Kuala Kelawang. In fact, the clutch on the Gc8 gave way and the clutch pump, but it's back here again during that period of time. And I must say that the Gc8 is the most surprising of the many cars here. It's amongst one of the cars that I've always wanted to drive. And it's very old school. The car feels very cocooned inside. It's very driver-centric. And I love the STI's, the symmetrical all-wheel drive system. It feels very light, unlike the TME, which feels a bit bigger on the move. On the handling performance side, I think the STI drives much better than the TME. But the TME is tuned. So the TME, I think, is pushing about 350, 400 horsepower. So on a straight line or on the highway, the car just boosts up very, very nicely. So between these two WRC heroes, they are very different in nature, which is kind of weird because people usually put these two cars back to back with each other. And of course, many Malaysians, especially in Malaysia, we are more inclined towards the EVO culture. But for me personally, I think I like a car that handles very well, and I think the STI puts a smile on my face more than the TME. So between the two, I think the Gc8 is cooler. Another underdog that we have here is the Levin AE101. So I'm sure you guys know the SEG, the Corolla SEG. So this is kind of like the two-door version of that. It comes with ITBs as well. So you get a very cool 4A 20 valve with ITB. Feels very punchy. Outlook wise, I think not a lot of people know about this car. It's quite rare. We do see some of these cars racing on the MSF circuit. I don't know if they're still racing now, but it's kind of cool to see one here. Trading value around 20 to 30,000 only. So it's probably the cheapest of the bunch here. But it's an underdog. It's a 90s underdog, and it is amongst one of those cars that I think not a lot of people know. So if you were to be driving that, it's quite a sleeper. Nobody really knows that. You come up with the lights and people don't know that that 4A is actually very, very punchy. And the fact that it's in yellow, I guess it gets a little bit more attention. Of course, there's also the Impreza S203. Now that's unit number 138. If I remember correctly, it was 138. Very rare car. The 203 is a generation 8, the version 8 of the Impreza. Limited edition S model, blueprinted engine, EJ20, about 320 horsepower give or take, and comes with those BBS wheels, special wing, carbon fiber bucket seats and stuff like that. It's a very special car. But one thing about Imprezas of the S series, the 202, 203, 204, it's not exactly fetching a lot of value, which is kind of weird because these cars are very, very good to drive. And I think that the 203 looks the best of the bunch of the 202, 203, 204, the three generations. I like the blob eye, square eye look. So yeah, very nice example. I think it was about 40,000 kilometers mileage around there. Very good condition, and I think the owner is also very happy to have this in the collection. Yes, that's the RX-7. So let's talk about the four 90s JDM legends. So we got the RX-7, NSX, Supra, and Skyline GTR. So 90s JDM legends, these are the cars that we grew up with, adoring, liking, and kind of like a poster car on our wall for the JDM side. Of course, on the European side, on the supercar side, we got the Diablo, EB110. Those are the kind of cars that we're looking at back then. But from Japan, these are the four Ultimate Series cars. So RX-7 is a little bit special, of course. I'm pretty sure all of you know it comes with the 13B rotary engine. Not a fan. I'm not a fan of the RX-7. I think the engine is, you know, very difficult to maintain. There's not that many people who are good with dealing with rotary engines here in Malaysia. So it's a bit of a challenge. This particular car is bridge ported, so that makes it even more challenging to drive. So it won't idle below 3000 RPM when it's hot, and it's a little bit difficult to drive than normal RX-7s. I've also driven a Spirit R. But between the four, the RX-7 is the lightest, so it feels very nimble on the wheel and it accelerates very quickly. So that's a key characteristics about the RX-7. So I guess people love the RX-7 for the fact that it's lightweight and also it's rotary. But that rotary engine, I feel like, is the biggest downfall of the RX-7 because the shape, I think out of the four, it looks the nicest. So yeah, then we move on, of course, to the R32, the Skyline R32. We can't not love that thing. It's just the first car. It is the car that won Barters. It was the car that really, you know, made the Godzilla name plaque huge into the global world of cars back in the 90s. This car is a 1990 version, if I'm not mistaken. Few small bits here and there. TE37s, right TE37 specs, of course. But the engine is stock, so it's very nice to drive. It's very easy. And all-wheel drive Actesa system, rear-wheel steering. These are the kind of things that Nissan were really trying to introduce to the market back in the 90s. So that's something else which I think really makes a different highlight. It's a technological highlight of the four JDM legends. And then we move on to the NSX. So here today we have two NSX. The red one is automatic, the blue one is manual, 5-speed manual. They're both NA1, and that comes with the C30 3-litre V6 engine. I think the NSX is the most raw and most visceral of the four cars, of the four JDM legends, because everything in the NSX is very, very basic. It's as basic as you can imagine. So there's no power steering. The suspension is very, very solid. You sit very low in the car. You need to be very precise with the clutch. The throw on the gearbox is very short, so you need to be very careful with the way how you drive it. But I love the fact that it drives the best out of all, because it really gives you a different feeling on the wheel. Because the fact that the engine is also in the back, it gives a very different experience when you drive one. So that's, I think, very cool. Beyond that, yeah, to drive within the four, I feel that my personal favorite is, of course, the NSX. Some of them prefer the RX-7. They think that it's nicer to rev up. But honestly, I think the NSX is most closest to what I really like in a car. But all 10 cars here, there is one car there's the biggest highlight, and that's the Supra. So the key eye viewers, you guys would understand that the Supra looks very familiar, and that's because this is a homage to the Paul Walker getaway, not getaway, but was the last car after Paul Walker passed away. This was the car that was a send-off on the Fast and Furious movie. Well, not the exact car, but this is a replica of that. So it comes with those BBS LMs, very stock body in white, and this particular car has just been fully restored. So we had a grey one earlier in the week when we were shooting the feature. We swapped out the car with a 35B spec, which has already been sold, in fact, during this period. Then we took this car just came back from restoration from Johor, and now it's in this collection here. It's fully restored from ground up. Everything was stripped to the bones and redone. So fresh engines, got cams, it's got a 6-speed manual Getrag gearbox swap. Yeah, it's the nicest one to drive here. In fact, it's still running in, so I'm running the car in right now. But yeah, it's an epic experience to have all these cars here for the last 2 weeks. You know, our team really enjoyed shooting this. Most importantly, thank you very much to the owner for allowing us to spend all our time with this car. This is an unforgettable experience, no doubt. It's been a while. I think the last project that we've done like this was Changlun with Tony's collection. That was very cool, but in fact he only had 6 cars, 6 JDM cars. This collection has 14 in total, and ever growing, in fact. So probably in the future we'll probably be shooting more cars, whatever that comes in and out of the collection. But overall, yeah, this is the collection. And I think if I have to pick between all the cars, I'd still pick the NSX. So more on that. Wait for the review and the feature coming up on the video. And yeah, thanks for watching. Do subscribe to NoEqual.co for more videos to come. Enjoy the behind the scenes of the KL Collection V2.
What?